Good morning, it's Friday. America's first 24-hour non-stop news network was launched by cable magnate Ted Turner on June the 1st, 1980. Those words begin John Green's review of CNN in his book The Anthropocene Reviewed, where he rates facets of the Anthropocene, or the current age, on a 5-star scale, which I am now making a book review video series on, reviewing both the chapter and the subject of the chapter and my own experiences with it, and its reviews all the way down. But before we rightly criticize the insane circus that is a 24-hour news network like CNN, I have 3 things to clarify. Firstly, CNN does sincerely valuable investigative journalism. Secondly, by its very nature, a 24-hour news network heightens your emotions when you watch to keep you watching. Good journalism can exist in that framework, but it might be under more obligations than it ideally ought to be. As John Green puts it in this chapter, even in that first hour, you can hear the rhythm of the news, the ceaseless pulse of it. And thirdly, CNN's recent coverage of the Ukraine war gives me pause for a lot of the criticisms I would usually throw CNN's way. Some of those criticisms being the arbitrary heightening of tension, the obsession on news stories that are meant to invoke despair and not necessarily hope. But I feel the need to clarify that the current work being done to cover the humanitarian crisis that is the war in Ukraine is exceptional. With all of that said, John Green opens this chapter by reciting that speech that Ted Turner gave on that summer day in 1980, where the cable magnate laid out his vision of what CNN could be. Turner said, "You'll notice out in front of me we've raised 3 flags. One, the state of Georgia. Second, the United States flag, of course. And over on the other side, you'll see the flag of the United Nations. Because we hope with the cable news network, with its international coverage, with its greater depth coverage, will bring a better understanding of how people from different nations live and work together, so we can perhaps,
hopefully, bring together in brotherhood and kindness and friendship and in peace the people of this nation and this world."
That is a great speech, but it isn't necessarily something I think of when I think of CNN. I think of arbitrarily heightened urgency of pundits taking center stage over experts. And I think of a lack of context that makes what CNN does deliver unsubstantive at best. John Green makes the point that the news is usually what is new. We don't hear about child mortality declining by 60% since 1990. By far the fastest decline in child mortality in any 30-year period in human history. Because there is always new news to report, we rarely get the kind of background information and context that makes processes like that and events like that understandable. I'm going to close with something we just saw happen in October of 2022, when Jon Stewart was interviewing Arkansas Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, clearly and concisely exposing the hypocrisy in her arguments in denying trans youth medical care. Throughout the entire interview, Stewart provides clarity and context in his interviewing, but this particular moment is something I just don't think I could see in any CNN interview.
That there are doctors, and that we had plenty of people come and testify before our legislature who said that we have 98% of the young people who have gender dysphoria, they are able to move past that. 98%.
Wow.
Without that medical treatment.
That's an incredibly made-up figure.
That is what an interview with a compulsive liar should look like. Correcting biases and providing context within an argument, and that is not shown on CNN as often as it should be. As Green closes this chapter with, quote, "Good journalism seeks to correct those biases to help us toward a deeper understanding of our universe and our place within it." John Green gave CNN 2 stars, and I'm conflicted. They are, at least in some ways, failing to live up to the promises of Ted Turner on that summer day in 1980. Instead, preferring to use talking heads and urgent breaking news headlines to keep you watching. Or as Jon Stewart put it over a decade earlier in a CNN interview with the late, great Larry King, in the month of October, and I will stress, on CNN.
And the media in general, you said it yourself, it's focused on conflict, creating drama and a false sense of urgency. For better or for worse, the 24-hour networks are now the leading light of our information age.
And that was in 2010. It's weird when talk show hosts like Jon Stewart covering trans rights, or when Graham Norton correctly labeled cancel culture instead as simply accountability. With Graham Norton, a celebrity who interviews celebrities for a living, pleading that experts be given the spotlight on these issues and not celebrities. Just those two in the last few weeks are putting forward a more measured conversation in the news stories than major news networks like CNN. So I also give CNN, the company, 2 stars, which is a shame because they are capable of 5. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on Friday.